that's going on, and to continue to update people on how much progress we're making with that. For me to set an arbitrary date is what I just have an issue with.
If I can ask a couple of specific questions, sorry, Jonathan. You say you've made substantial progress. Can you put a percentage on that?
Well, here's the document.
Right, but would that be 30%, 50, 80?
I'd say we're probably 85,
Okay.
90%, somewhere in there.
85, 90% what? What does that mean?
Well, if you're, if you're just looking at a completed package of a final EIS, then we have a record of decision yet to go. We have these pieces that I told you about that we still have to incorporate: the air quality, the biological opinion, the mitigation items. All those have to get incorporated into this document.
When you say endangered species, which was one of the items, how many specifically are required to be reviewed at this point? You talk about jaguars. How many jaguars are out there?
We don't know how many jaguars are out there, and we don't try to keep count of those. We're managing the habitat, and so it's not trying to figure out how many.
Right, I understand,
species.
but
so we have several endangered species. We have ocelot. We've got endangered plants as well, and so we've got downstream fishery species. So there's a list that we're continually working with Fish and Wildlife Service on.
Excuse me,
could you tell us who you are, please?
Jim Walker, KGBY Radio.
Thank you.
So it's not just the jaguar, and I'm not trying to pin anything that everything is delayed or not on schedule because of the jaguar. That's not the case at all. There are many different species that we're dealing with, and jaguar being both one of them.
And with the tribes, what specific negotiations are taking place there?
Well, as I said, the obligation is to consult with the tribes to let them know what the project is and how it will affect their particular sites that they're concerned about. And then what we are attempting to do is work on an agreement with all of our tribal partners on how we would treat those particular sites, how would the burials that are potentially there, the artifacts, the sites that are there, how they would be treated. So those are the things that we're working with the tribe.
And how many tribes?
Laura, do you know for me?
I think there's 11.
11. So they include tribes not only in southern Arizona, but we have New Mexico, Mescalero, we've got the Hopi tribe to the north. And so it's not just the tribes that are in here.
And would you, what would you detail the progress in those negotiations?
I feel that we're making really good progress. We've got good communication, and we have several meetings scheduled that we've already had, plus upcoming ones. So it's been very productive, and I feel really, really good about those.
Do you think they might be able to come up with something they're going to sign off on and say, we're not in favor of this, but we're not going to fight it at this point?
Well, I know that, it's been made very clear to me that the tribes oppose the project.
Right.
I don't have any tribes that I know of that support it, so that's pretty clear that they're not going to give up their opposition to the project.
So what are you negotiating for? What would it be? What's the point of it?
If a proposal did go forward, even though they opposed it, then it would be in the tribe's best interest to come up with particular treatments if that project did go forward. So it's it doesn't give up any of the rights to oppose or to challenge or anything like that. I have an agreement that doesn't give up any of the rights to do it.
Is this a standard amount of time for the Forest Service to take on something like this?
This particular type of project?
Yeah.
We don't have these very often, and so there's no good template. There are other mining projects that have happened in the past that have taken many more years, but as far as the Forest Service engaging in these kind of projects, these are rare.
Is the Forest Service prepared for this, or are you currently adjusting, given the fact that you've had 25,000 responses?
No, we are up to the task. And, it's a challenging task, but we're certainly up to it.
Mr. Upchurch, you indicated that Rosemont had to submit additional documentation. Has Rosemont given you an indication of when that documentation will be provided?
It's kind of ongoing. You know, they've been very responsive. I can't say that they haven't. And so for the most part, they have been very responsive to the things we've asked them. Some of these additional requests take a lot of time. So when I ask them to remodel the air quality analysis, that's not something that can be done overnight. It takes, in some cases, months to go back and remodel. And so with the air quality analysis, that is certainly the case, where they've had to go back and remodel their whole analysis.
How much weight do those 25,000 comments carry in your decision? I mean, obviously, they go through each and every one of them. It's time to change.
But it's not a, you know, as I've said before, it's not a voting game as far as if I get 15,000 for, 10,000 against, well, then we must go ahead and do this. But the comments, especially the ones that are thoughtful, substantive, really bring out issues, are the ones that we deal with. When you have a form letter, which, you know, I have been getting form letters lately, they really don't have any effect, because we're really just trying to, as I said, focus on getting the analysis done. So if I get form letters that say I oppose it, or the ones that say that we need to get this thing done and get the project going, I understand that. I know that we need to do a good job and that we need to get the project analysis completed. But so those really don't have an effect. It's the ones that really give us you know, good information about what the effects might be to their particular interests, which are really useful.
Can we follow up with that on the EPA letter sent to the Forest Service last winter, saying that the current mining project should not proceed as designed, and recommended that, you know, further substantial analysis be conducted? How are you viewing that at this point? The EPA Regions 9 serious concerns over what they characterize, I guess, in the press as a very poor quality DEIS.
Well, we consider them very seriously, and so I have met with EPA several times. I have ongoing discussions with EPA, and we have taken their comments to heart and have done substantial changes to the draft to make it a better document, to do further analysis and to get us to the point where we think that we can meet their concerns. So that's what we have been doing with the comments.
Question to follow up to some of these other questions. It's about process. What I've heard here today is it's all about process, not results. How can we make it better, considering we need jobs and a better economy?
Well, I would disagree that it's not about results, because I think the process leads to results. And so the results that we're getting are showing substantially less impacts in some cases to the analysis that we've done. We've shown through working with the best science that we can come up with that our models are going to accurately predict, as well as models can predict, what the effects are. So when you have a project of this complexity and this size that has the effects on the public's land, which I'm responsible for, then I have to ensure that if this project does go forward, that it does comply with the laws that we're concerned about. So that may sound like process, but to me it's what you hire me to do, which is to ensure that the public's health and safety and the environmental concerns are met, while at the same time the mineral resources which are out there are going to be addressed. So it's a process, but it's a good process, and it's one that the American public, Congress has asked us to do.
Jim, you've spoken several times saying things that the results are better and its impacts are lessened. At what point can we see something specific on which areas you've got lessened impacts? You mentioned Davidson Canyon. Is that on your website now about the lessening impacts? Because I haven't seen Davidson Canyon, but I haven't looked every day either.
Right.
You know, when can we in the public who I'm allegedly representing, get a look at some of these